Hello, how are you?
Good morning. Good morning, Pat.
Good morning. One minute early. I don't know if you guys got the email, what I just sent about the American Recovery thing. I just thought it was important that you had it because the public hearings tonight, and I didn't want misinformation out there either. So, I'd be happy to address that with anybody who's interested as well.
So, there were what, 9 social services? There was a printout, the first printout. So social services, you've put
The first printout wasn't, you mean from that John sent on?
Yeah.
That is from a council person, and that's an older draft.
Okay.
I sent out this morning a copy of the draft that was presented last week to the council, as well as will be presented tonight at the public hearing. And there's quite a bit in there for seniors. So I am happy to address that, and Sarah can comment on that too, because she was part of the discussion when we presented that initially, what we're seeing as what's most needed right now at the center. So, and then there's some other pieces and other parts of the ARPA funding that affect seniors as well, including the portion on the schematic design, which also is the senior center, our new senior center is part of that as well. So.
Thank you. Got it.
But yeah, anybody can go tonight and comment, during the public session as well. Hi, Devin, how are you doing?
Good morning, everyone.
Hello, everybody. How's it going?
How is that little one of yours, Devin?
He's doing well, giving me a little bit of a run for my money, but the daylight savings has affected both kids. They were quite cranky this morning, but it's been okay.
Mm-hmm. Believe it or not, it's affected my dog, which I was a little surprised how routine. Well, I know she's routine, but demanding things at different times, and you know what I mean?
Yep.
I think she's all messed up too. So, but
it's nice to have it be lighter in the evening. That was nice yesterday. So
it really is. And especially when it's going to be 50 degrees, what I mean? When it's starting to get warmer. So get more outside time. And gardening time once it, gets even nicer.
I'm looking forward to getting the garden started.
Yeah, getting outside a bit more, getting that vitamin D.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Hi, John. Did you get what I just sent? You're muted.
Okay, can you hear me now?
We can hear you. Yep.
Okay. What do you mean by just sent?
I sent something out earlier, which is the revision, the last week's revision. The town council had a special meeting, and that will be presented tonight at the council. Just because I wanted to get some very specifics about how seniors are included in the ARPA funding, which they are. And Sarah and I have had input into that. And certainly the public has had input into it too, but there's a public hearing tonight that people can go and testify or submit their input in as well. But I just sent it out.
Okay, thank you. I will hunt for that at some point.
If I knew how to share my screen, I could actually share the screen with you, but I'm not sure that it would be as helpful as you might think. I could certainly show you the section.
Okay, shall we get
sections.
over the drudgery of the meeting and then
Mhm, sure.
with that?
Yeah, go right ahead. I think you got you definitely got a quorum.
Okay, I will. So I'll call the meeting to order. Any comments about the February 14th minutes? Do I hear a motion to accept them?
I make a motion, we accept the February 14th minutes. Oh, there's a,
Laura seconds. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. And we'll go right to Pat, and maybe you could include a comment about the budget again.
Okay, yes, so I had sent out the calendar for the budget. Correct, you all got a copy of that, so you know when the town manager will be presenting his budget, the times for public hearing, and the time that our budget will be presented. So, you know, those, although they are going to live meetings, I believe they're all hybrid, so people can testify either in writing, or you can contact if you want to testify virtually, or you can testify in person or go and watch the meetings in person now. So I wanted you all to be aware of that. And of course, like everything around here, hopefully this is where we're going and things are going to get better, but we'll just see. I mean, I don't think we're anticipating another big outbreak or another issue at this time, but you know, life with COVID has been interesting. So so it'll be great to be getting back to the ability to have in-person meetings. And again, that will be something that, you know, you'll have to discuss. I will have to say one positive thing is I'm glad we're doing this virtually, because we wouldn't have been able to have it at the senior center today because they're installing our new divider wall today. And it just happened to be, this was the week that they could do that. So the center can't be open to the public when that is going on. So they started that this morning, and you know, that will be great to have that new replacement wall in place. So that's budget. As far as personnel is concerned, we're fully staffed over here at the senior center. Other social services, like the whole human service administration, we are still short our clerical assistant, which was Jessica. It's a 19-hour position that impacts every part of the department, including the senior center. This is the person who did the deposits, ordered the supplies, did a number of different things. So, but we did do our first round of interviews next week, and hopefully we'll be offering that position to a person this week and moving forward. So we'll be excited to get that, because that helps out the whole department. As far as building is concerned, as I said, we have the wall being installed right now. And we are, you know, the town is still in the process of that programmatic building study that they're doing. So which the senior center is definitely a part of that. So, you know, we're awaiting some more information from the consultants. I was happy that when they walked through the building, one of the things they asked me was where could they look to see where it was done right as far as other buildings are concerned. And I was able to give them a number of the places that the commission years ago had gone to see, as well as some newer ones that I was aware of, for them to really kind of take a look at, you know, cutting edge centers in other areas of the state and in some of surrounding states. So, you know, that is, again, a serious part of that consideration. The town will have lots of decisions to make down the line overall for all of its buildings. Again, very pleased to say our new van is here, yay! And it's beautiful. It's 12 passenger, correct, with 2 wheelchair. And it's lift equipped, so we're very happy about that. Our old one is over 10 years old, and we're hearing that part replacement is becoming a challenge and expensive. So, we're looking at right now that one is still online, which is great. We have 2 vans and we have a backup, but we know down the line, probably in the not too distant future, that van will come offline as well, just because they, the cost to fix it and the ability to fix it will become. So, we'll be looking at other options for backup vehicles for us. And so that's about it. I can certainly talk about ARPA later on if you want to include that in new business. But that's my report.
Oh, dear. Well, you want to do what we did with Laura? I can leave the phone call open and you can listen to the audio anyway. Okay. The audio is a bit louder. Okay, let's try this. Yeah, Pat, could you say something more?
Oh, hello. Sure. Or Sarah could start on it with her report.
Yeah, I can hear.
Okay.
I'll turn mine up a little as well. Should be fine.
Sounds like Sylvie. Good morning, Sylvie.
No, don't hang up. Don't hang up. Okay. So Laura, you did some groundbreaking 2 weeks ago with hanging on the phone. Sylvie called and she's having trouble getting in. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to leave the phone live and she's going to at least hear the audio and I can relay her comments. So Devin, if you've got that. Okay, back to Pat.
I finished my report and I'd be glad to talk about ARPA later if you do want to add that to your agenda.
Yes, it's on the agenda. Okay, Sarah, I guess you're next.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Good to see you.
Morning.
Like Pat said, we have a funny week this week. It's weird. We are closed to the public. So that feels a little strange, but staff are definitely using the opportunity to do some longer term planning. With the mask mandate being lifted, we have a whole new set of opportunities. That has real implications for us, right? One is coffee, one is snacks, refreshments, doing our Fresh Fridays in person. So we are evaluating all of those things based on where we're at and looking at April to really make some changes in those areas. So that is very exciting. We do think one of the things we're looking at, obviously our Fresh Fridays have been super, super successful as drive-thrus. We have been serving more people than we do in person without a doubt. We want to bring those back in person. We think we probably are going to offer it as kind of a hybrid program. We will probably in April try and see how it goes, offering the option of either coming and eating in person or picking it up as a to-go meal. So I'll keep you posted on those developments. In terms of the cafe, we are very realistically looking at our staffing. I will share with you a little bit later on in the update. Jamel is going out on maternity leave. So that is very exciting and wonderful for her. But we're being cautious about making sure we can cover transportation and outreach in the time that she's gone and not set ourselves up by kind of relaunching back into that cafe. But I will tell you, it is on the books. We are looking at how to do that in the best way. And we are as anxious as everybody else is to get scones back in the building. So we'll keep you posted on that. I do believe, I don't think Pat mentioned that, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe the building is also opening up to outside groups in the evening. So I know lots of people were really anxious to hear that update. So Dorothy is our contact. Anybody curious about those details? I know the garden club Joanne was asking last week. Can reach out to Dorothy on that. Other questions about the building, the space, tables, things like that, obviously folks are welcome to come to me as well. We did have St. Patrick's Day a little early. We had it on Friday. We cooked a huge homemade corned beef and cabbage meal. It was amazing. Pat jumped in and helped with the meat. Sharon did a phenomenal job on the rest of it. We served 72 people. That is always one of our biggest, but it was great. Very festive. Everybody was decked out in green. The sun was shining, so it was a really, really nice day. In April, the big one we'll be looking forward to, in addition to kind of reincorporating the Fresh Fridays in person, of course, is it's Volunteer Appreciation Month. I'm not going to tell any of you any of the other details, but you will be getting invitations soon. So we are looking forward to that in April as well. Pat mentioned the new van. This was very exciting. We are going to do kind of a new van party and have folks come and check it out, take a ride around the parking lot. We're gonna wait till April and when the weather is a little bit nicer. But again, the van is gorgeous. It really feels much, much roomier. One of the big differences for us is when you do have a wheelchair passenger, you don't lose any of the other seats. In our old van, it was a 10-person. When we had a wheelchair, it went down to 8. So we're always struggling with that. This one really is nice that it has 12 people capacity, 12-person capacity, but then also room for 2 wheelchairs. Other fancy features, the ceiling is carpeted, so the sound is not as loud when you're driving around. There's a heated step, so that doesn't ice over, and it's, you know, real safe for people getting in and out. Again, it's roomier. There's better grab bars than there were on ours. So even just the technology in 10 years has come a long way. So we're really excited. I do really want to remind people, $25,000 of that purchase came from the association. That was one of their final gifts. They felt very strongly they wanted to support increased transportation, and that was a huge portion of that purchase. So I don't think it would have moved moved forward as quickly as it did without that gift. And we really still want to thank all the members of that final board that made those decisions and kind of made this possible. Last piece, yes.
Joanne was.
Yep.
I'm sorry. Can I just, so Joanne was a big part of that decision. So
That's
I
right.
think she signed off, but want to applaud that. And the other feature that's in it that Sarah didn't mention is there is a Hepa filter in it. So it is much safer because it's much safer from a COVID and other, spreadable disease type things, as it cleans the air as, so we did add that in, that COVID feature. That was the advantage of ordering it during COVID.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. Thanks. So my final update again is, yes, it will be significant that Jamel will be on maternity leave. She has been phenomenal in her role in the time she's been here. She runs our transportation program and our outreach services. Transportation especially is a day-to-day job. That really is kind of an ongoing piece. I am going to be covering that with Jordan. She and I will handle that together so that anybody accessing those services is not aware of any difference other than the person that's answering the phone or answering the emails. So I want to make sure people are clear on that. We do have the grant application for that program will be due. Jordan and I also will be handling that. But again, I want folks to know those are the reasons why we're not going to jump right back into the cafe in April. We are just making sure that we're cautious, but also making sure, again, our most critical essential services are covered first. Okay, so Pat's going to talk about the ARPA funding. We're excited about that. Looking forward, I do think that has some great implications for us in terms of transitioning and staffing and how we work things. But we are just as curious as you to kind of hear those details as they develop. So any questions for me? All right. Okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you, sir. Oh, yeah. I haven't asked my usual question in a little while.
What's that?
We're getting to the end of COVID. How about the certification process? Where are we on that?
Yes, for accreditation.
Yes.
Again, that's another piece we will look at reincorporating. For me, I think if we have an opportunity to expand nutrition services and expand transportation services and reopen our cafe, those would probably be our priorities over the next 6 months to a year, Pat. So not sure where accreditation falls into that. But if we have this new funding coming through in these directives, my understanding is Ryan is saying these things will start in the spring or the summer. I'm anxiously awaiting some details on that.
Thank you. Other questions? Okay, Will, any updates on WRTD?
Nothing's going on. We have our board of directors meeting at the end of the month. I'll know something then.
Okay, thank you. While you've got the floor, how about the Rolling Hills update?
Well, I am told through the grapevine that the clubhouse is finished. We haven't got anything on it in the mail yet, but hopefully it's going to be opening pretty soon, and maybe we can get back to some kind of normalcy around here. There's still construction still going on. They still haven't finished yet, but hopefully they'll finish this spring, and maybe by the end of the year we'll have all new roads in here, and things will be looking up.
Good. Martina, Glen Ridge?
I have a question. I would like for someone from the commission to attend the Glen Ridge residents and board meeting, so we can talk about the commission, and if they see people in person, other people, maybe we can get a volunteer from over there or liaison from over there. So if someone is interested, I can let you know when their next board meeting is, so we can present ourselves live.
What do you want to do, Martina?
I would like for someone from the commission to go with me to the board, to their next board meeting at Glen Ridge, so we can talk about the commission and see if we can get a volunteer from over there.
Yeah, all right. Let me know when it is, and if I can make it, I'll go with you.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Because the person I count on over there has retired, semi-retired, and so I would like for someone to go with me in the flesh,
Okay.
so it's the dog and pony show.
I'll back you up.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Will. Mary isn't here.
She's here.
Oh.
She's
Oh.
under Bosch.
Yeah, okay. A report from
She,
Harper Hill.
well, she sent me a message. I think, what did her message say? Hold on, sorry. Hold on. She says, hold on, I'll get to this. Okay, Mary says that she's online, she can see us, but you can't hear me. Okay,
She's muted.
but you can't hear me.
You see the top of her head.
Can you try to unmute? See, I don't, okay. She said, I'm watching, but no one can hear me. Okay, I don't.
Can you go to where the little microphone with the line is through it and click on that?
Can the host unmute her? There.
Can you
Now-
hear me
now
now?
Oh, there you go.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
Here I am. Okay, great. Okay, thank you for helping me. I'm trying to figure out how to get to you guys. All right, thank you for being patient. Okay, I got just a few things here. Lori, who is our social worker, is leaving the end of March. So I believe they're in the process of interviewing and hiring someone else. So she's gonna hang around a little longer to acclimate whoever it may be to meet all of us and get all the information she needs for that position. COVID-19, which is finally, I think we're finally getting over this. We no longer have to wear a mask. It's our own personal choice, which is wonderful. So again, they're allowing visitors to come in. If you're vaccinated, you don't have to wear a mask. If you are not, then you have to. They're allowing more folks to sit in the dining room during lunch, breakfast, and lunchtime. It's 5 at a table instead of 4. So hopefully, as time goes on, we can increase that number a little more. And then as for entertainment, from our program director, we have folks coming in. Again, it's a sign up right now. So they're allowing only a certain amount of folks in the dining room. And with the better weather, hopefully we could, do this outside where we can have more folks. So we'll see what happens with that. There's the energy assistance program people have been signing up for. Rental rebate, again, that starts April 1st. People are signing up for that. I mentioned that. Hearing clinic is going on second Thursday of every month, and I'm going to be doing that myself. So things are coming around better compared to a few months ago. Now that we're getting the better weather and finally getting through, hopefully getting over this hurdle where things are getting better here. So we're moving along as better as we can. Also, let's see, Lori, there's somebody else. Was Lori, Stella, who's the other? Oh, Joe, our maintenance person outside is leaving, and we're doing a farewell party for him April 1st. So they did hire someone, Mario, who is following Joe around to see, everything that needs to be done. So we're gonna sadly miss Joe. I've known Joe since I moved here in '84. Joe came a little bit after that. So I've known Joe a long time, and he's gonna be very, very missed. So again, the new person coming on board is Mario, and hopefully we all get to meet him at some point. Okay, that's it for me, folks.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, under new business, I neglected to include in the agenda 2 items of new business from the last meeting. That's the proposed writing of a letter to the town regarding the 2 vacant buildings and potential use of them. And the other one was to extend an invitation to the mayor to meet at our April meeting. I guess for the invitation to the mayor, the question would be, would we want her to have any presentation or simply be available for questions and answers?
You might want to at least prepare her for things that you're thinking you will discuss so that she can come, you know what I mean? Instead of having to get back to you about things, if there are some very specific things, you might want to at least let her know that.
Okay. I'm ready to write a list, or Devin is. What items should we specifically ask about?
I will write them down.
Well, we need to think about what we're looking for regarding the vacant schools. What do we want? what's going to happen to those schools? Does anyone know when they're going to close and the other one's going to open?
I'm not sure. I think I heard Annie Vinton was supposed to be a fire department. Does anybody hear that?
No, they haven't decided on that. That's part of that study that they're currently doing. There might be some proposals, but first they have to be vacant. And I'm not sure whether that's actually going to happen in September. I
Okay.
think there's been some building challenges, but I'm not the expert on that. That would be a question, actually, if you had the mayor here, you could probably ask her that.
Yeah.
But I can tell you, there's been no decisions about those two buildings or the property they sit on. That has not happened. That's part of the study that's being done right now. So there's a lot of people who want those two buildings and that land. I can tell you that.
Yeah, right.
There's a lot of different ideas, everything from housing to, having nonprofits housed in it, to, childcare, to, early learning, to health district, to, the land for housing, affordable housing. So, to moving certain town departments into it. There's a lot of discussion, but nothing has been decided. And that will ultimately be the town's decision, the town council's decision when the school turns the buildings back over to the town.
So no one knows that right now, the date. No.
I'd like to know the mayor's vision for seniors in the town of Mansfield. And how she sees that we will be able to afford to stay in town.
Other areas? Okay, I will extend an invitation to the mayor with her vision for seniors and the use of the schools being two items that we're particularly concerned about. Is that good?
My other thought is, we just had another person move to Juniper Hill from Wright's Way. To my mind, we do a juggling thing up here, and it seems like seniors are going to get squeezed out. I don't know if that's something she can address. I don't even know what my question is.
Right.
I don't know. But
Yeah, so there are two different types of housing. One is considered affordable with a base rent, and that's over here, and it's open to seniors and disabled. And
Right,
the other
right.
Section 8,
right.
and affordable assisted living. So that you, believe it or not, can make too little money. You can make too little money in order to stay over here.
Right.
And then again, we have people that move over there, the Juniper Hill, they'll say the places are nicer, there's more service, you know what I mean? So they move here and then put themselves on the list for Juniper Hill. But some of it is affordability, Martina.
So what are we doing about that?
Well, it's state housing, so that's state housing. And this, you know what I mean? This is HUD housing. So they're two different types of housing. That's the best I can explain it. Juniper Hill is more affordable for someone who's lower income. But you're right, they have more disabled people that live over at Wrights Village than they have seniors. And that's happening all over the state because of the different models. That's, it's been happening since they opened it up to disabled persons. And it's one of the challenges when you see a need, and there's limited resources, and instead of creating some new or expanding, you just open what you already have, there was already a shortage of senior housing, to another group that often has longer to wait they have longer a longer lifespan to wait for a place to open up. And they live longer. So, you see what I'm saying? So that's happened all over the state because there was literally no housing for disabled people, at the time they did that. And that was a lot of years ago. So you can see through attrition what's happened.
So what do we do
So-
about it? Because the new housing that's going on the corner across from you, the
Right.
workforce housing, that still seems like we're going to be in the same problem. We're going to have the same problem.
Correct. I can tell you that's correct.
Yep.
So I don't even
So
know
it's
my question. How
it's
do we
not
address
really
that?
being designed, it's not designed for seniors, that I can tell you.
Right,
So I
right.
think that the only
And
way
not
that the
designed for
council can
disabled either, I
do
think.
something about it is invest with maybe a private developer or a nonprofit developer, and age restricted housing. I mean, that's the only way they can do it. And make it affordable, or at least some affordable units, because some people need that type of housing and they can afford, but they can't find.
Right.
So, they can't find what they need in order to stay in community. So, I mean, that is one of the ideas about the space where the schools are, quite frankly, there's a lot of land where those buildings are. It's not just the school building. So there may be some opportunities there. And that's, again, if you guys feel strongly about that, that's absolutely something you should talk to the mayor about, and anybody you have an ear for. It's sad to see the number of people who end up having to move out of town. I'll be honest with you. It just is really sad to see that. And the way apartment and rental stock has gone down as far as availability and up as far as cost. And you can't blame the people who own the buildings. They want to make more money for their investment.
Yeah.
But it's a real challenge for people who want to remain in community.
Can we document at all the number of people who are leaving Mansfield for affordability reasons? It's anecdotal. You talk to people
Right.
all the time, but do we have numbers or anything?
I don't think you can document it because people just move out of town. I mean, it's, there's no questionnaire that says, why are you moving out of town? We know anecdotally because we talk to people. But it's a true thing, or people who want to move into town who don't have options. They want to meet their family, they want to move back to Mansfield, but they don't have options.
There was a question we had posed a while back, and I don't remember who posed it, about the number of seniors currently living in Mansfield and the percent of the tax base that the seniors are paying. I think that's how I want to phrase it. Can we ask the mayor to provide that information?
You can absolutely ask her for any, for whatever. I'm not sure, but there may be a way to find that out. I'll be honest with you. If you cross-reference voter registration and, ages of people who own property and are paying taxes. But that's not my area of expertise. I would
Right.
assume it's a substantial part of our tax base, though.
Right. So basically, if we knew what percent of seniors are in the town of Mansfield and what percentage of seniors paying for the tax base, that might give us some more leverage. And that was a number that I think we had talked about, that somebody would have to manually go through because the assessors wouldn't provide it or didn't have time to provide it or whatever. So if we're going to meet with the mayor, let's put the pressure to her. She should be able to get that information for us.
Yeah. The other thing is, what percentage of the people who vote are seniors? Because that's
Yeah.
high too.
So if we get these questions to her ahead of time, hopefully we'll have some answers. She'll have some answers.
Okay. Martina and David, would you be willing to draft a letter to go to the mayor, asking her to attend the April meeting if she can, or if not, the May meeting?
Sure.
Okay, good, thank you.
Can you send us or give us the questions somehow?
I've got them mostly all written down here, so I'll send out the meeting minutes later today.
Okay, thank you.
They'll be there.
Okay, other questions on that? Okay, then we have on the agenda the discussion of let me get the budget here. The information that David sent. And actually, Dave, why don't you kick that off a little bit? I did do one figure while I was looking at it. It turned out that seniors are 0.08% of that budget. Or distribution, I guess you would call it.
So I happened to run into a council member, and the council member sent me an email asking if I would make sure that we at least talked about the numbers at the Commission on the Aging, because one of his concerns was, you know, $6,000 listed under senior center, but as a different example, $300,000 listed for an ambulance. So, you know, when I look at the numbers, I kind of was disheartened about the way the money was being distributed in terms of where the priorities were. You know, huge dollars to me to look at what we're supposed to do with the town hall. You know, things like an ambulance. Is it a question of we need the ambulance, or is it a nice to have ambulance? If I remember right, there was a purchase of a second wheelchair type van or something to be used to help with transportation. Well, then it's a question of a driver. I think for me, the overall message was the amount of money that was kind of guided towards seniors just didn't seem right. So I just want to make sure we had an opportunity to look at the numbers and see what people's thoughts were.
It's tokenism. That's all it is. It's just a token. That's all it is. It's just, here, take a little bit and leave us alone.
Yes.
Pat, could you give us a little outline as to just how those figures came to be?
Yes, so there's very specific guidance in what you can spend ARPA funds on. Again, I sent out something just a little while ago, which is the most current information. And these are the priorities that the eligible uses is to support a public health response, which again, probably is where that ambulance fits in. Address negative economic impacts. Replace public sector revenue losses, pay premium for essential workers, water, sewer, and broadband infrastructure. Those are what the federal government outlines that you can use those funds for. So in other words, everything that's in the town's response has to be dealing with one of those or several of those guidelines. So that information, like the council asked for the town manager to take a look at those items. They also said that they would want to see one of the allowable uses is to fund projects of nonprofits that do regional services. So, you know, and our council at this point has identified an amount of money that will be available for grants to area agencies, similar to the types of grants that the town gives to area agencies that the Human Service Advisory Council reviews and makes recommendations. As Will said, Human Service Advisory has also been talking a lot about this as well, because he's the commission's representative on Human Service Advisory. So what happened was they basically sent out to the department heads, what projects do you see would fit into these guidelines and how? And understanding these funds are not ongoing funds, so that, you know, what could you do with the amount that it wouldn't be something that if it ended and the town wasn't able to continue to fund it, you know, would be catastrophic. Like, in other words, you create a need and then you end it. That's where these come up. Now, I can say that most of the projects do affect seniors in a positive way. I mean, seniors use the library, you know, seniors absolutely are primary users of the ambulance service, you know, and a number of them. But I can talk specifically about what we in Human Services, which on the outline that I gave you, falls into specifically into under the it's on the document that I sent you, starts on 5 and it's page 5 and comes to 6. So, and again, the schematic study of facilities also includes the senior center and possible new senior center. Just so you know, it's not just the town hall, it's the buildings that were identified as problematic and that the town needs to really take a look at what to do from a future point of view. So the senior center is that in that next phase, the schematic designs that they're talking about as well. But the mobile outreach van will be used by all portions of our department, including a backup vehicle if we lose our current vehicle. But it also will be used, as Sarah can attest, we've had lots of problems with our ability to have a vehicle to deliver Meals on Wheels. That's bigger. This became a real problem during the pandemic. For supplies, for any type of delivery program that we do, we don't have, other than our transportation van, one to do it with. The Youth Services also struggles with the same thing because they do not have a van. And the Farms to Families and a number of other things that we've had to offer deliverables for, we have really no way to do that. So we're using the small vehicles that we have and taking multiple trips out, which is a waste of staff times and problematic for people, and also limits some of the things we can do. That van will also allow us to go to, you know, places and offer programming and services on site, particularly places where transportation and access are an issue. So it can also be, again, a programmatic van for people who are homebound or, like I said, live in an aggregate community like Rolling Hills. That's, you know, sometimes it can be a challenge for people from Rolling Hills to get into the center for something. So it will allow us to do some, you know, outside things. But again, the biggest portion of and the biggest impact on senior programs directly, and Sarah is under the enhanced funding for human service programs. If you see that, there's expanded nutrition programs. And one of the things we've talked about is being able to operate our cafe program more frequently, offer more choices, and you know, expand kind of the grab and go type things that people have. So we're not just doing a lunch program, we're able to help people in a very cost-effective way because we do not have to recoup any of the administrative costs or staffing costs for those meals. We just have to recoup the cost of the food. And so that helps in two ways. One, people love to come in and, you know what I mean, sit at an affordable place and socialize and eat together, especially if they eat alone. And the other is it's an affordable way for people who have problems with meal preparation and access to fresh foods. Nobody likes to cook for one. Let's face it, that's a challenge to do. So it would be expanding our nutrition programs. It also would add us driver hours, so we could expand to our transportation program, which we know during pandemic, and we know it's a real issue here in town. So, and again, Sarah can speak to that, but particularly for people who are wheelchair bound, it's a real challenge to get transportation out and about. It's also going to help us with some of our touchless registration. It's going to assist us in areas of technology, especially tutoring seniors around that. And it's also going to offer us some funds to do some per diem mental health services and programs at the center or through our mobile programming. So, and again, it will also support the Mansfield Farm to Family program, which is very popular. And we have a number of seniors that access that program. And, so that is wonderful. That's another thing that will help everybody, but we do have seniors on that program as well. So those are kind of the direct things, but like I said, there is money in there and the proposal under negative economic impact for, funding to agencies on aging, that's $350,000. And funding affordable housing is $500,000, which again, we were talking about before. And maybe it would be a good idea to do some guidance on that. If you give the input and say some of that maybe should be focused a little more in the senior arena, that would be a way to, but again, the biggest thing, and I think if you went to the, or you observed the last special meeting that the council had, biggest thing in question right now is the connecting water up to the middle school. And that's a pretty big price tag. So that's a good portion of the funds. I can also say expanding the Wi-Fi and wireless access to more places in the town so people get free Wi-Fi has a large impact on seniors. I can't really speak fully to that. That's Jamie Russell has been a big part in pulling that together, but that's would have a huge impact for seniors as well. It may seem like a small amount of money, but a number of those things do have an impact on our senior population. That's what I would say.
I'm not denying.
And I would say if you have input into it, you can go to the public hearing tonight, or you can send a letter. I mean, that's what the council is looking for. They've made no decisions. This is just the town manager's recommendation.
Pat, I got a question.
Sure.
Pat?
Yep.
Looking at that page 6, this family farm program, is that included in the $150,000 that?
No, that's that I believe. Well, let me see.
I think it is, because that's what it says.
I do believe right now it's the 150 that would be divided between the senior center and the farms to families. I think that's the most recent.
So there again.
So the farms to family is $40,000 of that, if that's
well, the way I add it up, it's $92,000 if you add up all this stuff. 20,000 for this, 20,000 for this, 10,000 for this, 2,000 for this, 22,500 for this. It comes up to somewhere around $92,000. So what are we getting out of the 150? 50,000, 60,000? It's like I said, tokenism.
Right. And again, I want to say that those have put in the budget. Those are the budget figures. And there's grant funds that offset that somewhat.
Pat, I don't think anybody's denying what's the money's being used for seniors. The problem I have, particularly now that I listened to what your introduction is to what the money was going to be used for and those kind of guidelines, I struggle with 150,000 to the Hunting Lodge Neighborhood Fund. I struggle with 25,000 to iPods at the library. That to me, doesn't fall in those guidelines, and somebody got real creative with where to spend this money. 75,000 for the Artist Relief Fund. Yet
Right.
they got real.
Yeah, and I will
creative with this
I will
fund.
say that, you know, one of the things that I have heard is why in the world would you be giving $350,000 to area agencies and not giving more to our own human service? I've heard people say that,
And
you
how
know, as well as why were these particular projects picked? You know, and that would be something to ask the council.
I'm just saying, this whole thing, even municipality facility design project is
Mhm.
$150K for a design project to do what with? And yet
So that,
we're
right.
getting no
I-
money for the seniors and the
right.
either.
Right,
It doesn't
and
make
you
any
would need to,
sense.
yeah, you would need to ask the town manager, because I don't think that's even enough money to get design specific cost estimates for referendum if they decide to do a project. 150 doesn't sound like enough. So unless they were thinking of co-funding it with town capital funds. So, but yeah, I think that that's what you should do. The council is absolutely looking for public input. Absolutely. So I will encourage you all, or if you even want to put something together as the commission itself, or you want to do it for individuals, because that's what the council keeps saying. They want more public input. So, and I will say that, you know, even the survey, I don't know if you guys looked at that survey that came through, but it was definitely probably individual groups like influenced a lot. You know, they said, you know, hey, everybody fill this out. You know, I'm just going to say Little League did with as far as fields are concerned. So, you know, and I'm not knocking Little League. That's how you get things done. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, they really need, you know, they need to hear from the community what you would prioritize or what you would like to see happen. That's what I would say. So, you know.
Pat, I got another question. On
Mhm.
this Hunting Lodge neighborhood plan, $150,000. They put down there affordable and senior housing. Where on Hunting Lodge Road is there senior housing?
And
I
who
don't
wanna live
know
with all
that
these my kids?
Well,
What's that?
I'm not sure, is that on the way to Goodwin? Are they thinking of bringing some of that up to the Goodwin school? I think it might be, because I know that that was part of the discussion. And I think the council nixed some of that because they said, we don't really know what we're going to do with Goodwin at this point. So I'm not sure so I'm not really sure, Will, that would be a question to ask. If you could ask that actually again in the public hearing or in writing. You know, that's what I would strongly recommend, because the council is pushing back on a lot of these as well. This is just a proposal by the town manager. So, you know, they haven't decided. I will say they have to come up with some kind of a plan in the very near future, because the deadline's in April. So, and you know, to get that information back. So just so you know, it's coming up. So the council's going to have to make some decisions about what's happening in the very near future. And the public hearing tonight is going to have a very big impact on those decisions that are made.
But I think it also speaks to the relationship, because I don't remember the town manager or anybody coming to the commission on the aging asking for any input on any of this. There was no input until here's what we're going to do. Not once did anybody come to the Commission on the Aging and say, what do you feel, or what would you like, or what are some suggestions based on these guidelines?
And again,
it puts the seniors in the same position we've all have been in. The residents are put second, and the seniors are even farther behind that, because they run their own agenda to what a few people want and don't ask for input from the supporting groups.
Right. And
Not
again,
once did they come to us and say, what do you guys want?
right.
Let's
So,
ask
I
the
mean, other
mayor.
than the community survey, that was the only thing, and that was open to all of the community. So, but
That's a-
you're right, and that's, that's one of the things that the council, again, wants to hear tonight. And, that would be something to really, that's the question to ask them. I mean, they're the decision makers.
Yeah, that's also a good question for the mayor too.
But that will be, if you have her in May, April or May,
I
you're
know, but
beyond
I'm
the
just
dates
saying,
when you're gonna
I'm
have
just
any
saying, that's a
impact.
good, I'm just saying, that's a good question
I'm
for
gonna be
her
honest
too.
with you, tonight's your night.
Yeah, it'll be too late.
You know,
It's
Yeah,
almost
some of
done.
them can
We
come.
can go there and speak to her blue in the face tonight, Pat, and it's not gonna make a difference.
But maybe we should do that, though. Somebody should do that.
I strongly recommend, sometimes the voice of one or two people can really turn the tide.
And it is just as effective to submit testimony via email. So, that is a really user-friendly way to encourage folks to participate. I had a question, Pat. As I looked through it, it did strike me that there was nothing for our facility, the senior center facility, and I'm hearing this schematic design being mentioned. Has there been talk about, was that the decision? Was that they are looking at doing something bigger, so they decided not to put anything into the senior center at this point? I noticed things
Yes.
like they were doing a new HVAC system for the council chambers and the community center, and so why wouldn't that be something that would be looked at for
Because in the
here,
past-
given that it
Right.
will probably be some years we're still in the building?
The cost to solve our HVAC problem is not worth it. I mean, they've costed it out in the past. I mean, you're not going to spend $500,000 to $1 million on this building.
Did they look
fix
at
our
other
HVAC
ways to
system.
do some air filtration for this building in the same way they're looking at it for the others, or?
You can ask that would be a question for Alan, but my guess is it's because they know this building needs to be replaced. And that, Sarah, every time we talk about anything, even the wall, they waited till the last minute to do it. I mean, it's been past its life usage for a long time, but they have to do it now because they can't get any replacement parts or whatever for that thing. But they put it off beyond when they would have because the building itself, I hate to say it, but it's really not long-term worth putting any major bucks into this building. It's just not. And I mean, Will, you'd probably agree, correct?
Oh,
You've been
absolutely.
part of this for a long time. Why in the world would you put $500,000 to $1 million in here? We have so many problems here. But that's a question to ask the town manager and the facilities department. So, because that wouldn't have been something I would have recommended. I'll be honest with you, it would be like throwing good money after bad.
Pat, Pat, I got a question. Who would we send an email to? To the town council or to the?
Yes, you can
Ryan,
send
or-
it, you could send it to the town council, but you should also send it to Tasha and the town manager and ask for it to be included in the council packet. But like I said, I would recommend people be there to testify either virtually or there if you feel strongly about this.
Well, if
You're right,
everybody
it's
here
a
says-
lot of money.
If everybody here sends an email, okay, or a couple of us go down,
Mhm.
let's take a little time and start doing something, people, okay? Instead of
Mhm.
sitting around looking at each other at a meeting.
So if we send an email, we don't have to be there, right? We just send the email?
Correct. Or you can testify virtually. So
I
you can contact the town Tasha, and she will give you the link and put you in line to testify virtually. They have it set up to do that. So,
I can't do that virtually tonight, but an email I can send.
yep,
And everything should be right there on the town homepage. I think it's one of the news flashes, all the information about tonight's meeting, the entire document that has, all the funding amounts listed. So go to the mansfieldct.gov and it should be right there on the front. And then the
And
directions
full-
on how to participate and stuff.
And full disclosure from me, my daughter's getting married in July. And tonight is her tasting that I'm going to. So which they only do it once, like for all of the summer weddings. So I'm probably not going to be back in time for the meeting, which if anything comes up, I'd like to be there. So, questions about the van have come up and, they'll probably ask me to comment if people, ask about this, but I'm going to prepare the town managers. I'm going to try to be available via at least cell phone for that, but it's not the best time, but it's my daughter getting married. I have one daughter. So I won't be on tonight if that bleeds into it. So.
Kevin, could you add a question for the mayor? What she sees the relationship or what she would like to see out of the Commission on the Aging
Okay.
and how that relationship should be.
Sure.
The commission is slow responding to anything. We have a meeting once a month, and it really takes us 2 months to get anything done. So maybe that's part of why the council doesn't look to us first. But it does bother that it doesn't seem to have crossed their mind to ask the council for some priorities.
No, because what we are is, we are only an advisory committee. That's all. So in other words, we're supposed to advise them. They're not supposed to advise us. That's the way I look at it. We're just tokenism in this town, people. Open your eyes and open your ears. The seniors are tokens in this town. I'm sorry, excuse me.
You're not sorry. Sorry that. I know on paper that's what it says, but is there a way to change that? I guess we have to become more active. As in
The last revision of the charge to the committee, we did get that clause in there about reporting to the town council directly. We have yet to take advantage of that fully. We've sort of working on that part. But I think we have one little place to work there. How many people could attend virtually or in person for tonight's meeting?
I cannot, but I can write an email.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna send an email.
Anybody else going to input one way or the other? I'm not sure which I'll do, but I'll either get there or more likely virtually.
I can send an email. Does somebody want to draft an email and we can all, would be easiest and then all forward the same email with the same points, so all the same information gets read or gets heard?
Thank
Maybe
you for
more
that.
power in numbers.
Yeah, thank you for that suggestion.
Yeah, that's a real good suggestion. That way there we get everything that we want to say and nobody's going off on a tangent.
Or if you could list a few bullet points, and then we could each send our own email, including those bullet points, but it would be from us, not just a signature at the mass letter.
Okay, let's come up with some bullet points then.
Right. And I would also suggest if you feel personally strong about any one of those other portions that are in it, you include that too. Whether, again, as David said, explanation about you know, why the ambulance was, or explanation as to why the arts was included, or explanation about can there be a way to designate affordable housing for seniors in that, or like, you know, some very specific things that you may other things that personally, like David had said, I don't, you know, the library, I didn't, you know, I don't understand why they'd have put pods in the library, or, you know, I'm not, you know, I'm not trying to tell you what to do, but if you review that whole thing and there's other things that you are questioning, you should include that too, because that's what a public hearing is for.
Is there some place we can get a more detailed indication of what each line item is? You know, it's kind of hard when you say wireless access pavilion. 28,000, is there a paragraph somewhere that relates to that?
It's basically getting the wireless access out to the pavilion so people, it can be COVID safe, but during the summer, people could be in the pavilion area and use the Wi-Fi. And the library, by the way, was kind of rock stars for access to free Wi-Fi during COVID, both indoors and outdoors. So, you know, that's part of that, correct, Sarah? I mean, you might know a little bit more about the Wi-Fi project.
I don't. All I
Okay.
can share for us is that during COVID, we had received that State of Connecticut grant that was specifically targeted to senior centers. We were able to purchase some devices, hotspots, and iPads, as well as data. What I will share with you is that in the year and a half since we launched that, those were borrowed 10 times. The cost to continue now that the grant funding has ended was about $2,000 a month. We made the decision not to continue because we felt that the need was not that great in this town. We were not having a lot of people coming to us asking for that. I do understand that the library and information technology are looking at putting about $300,000 into a program that kind of mimics that through the library. Other than that, I don't have any other details.
Right, and as well as expanding Wi-Fi access to some public places. I believe, I think it's even some of the parks. And like, for example, during COVID, like our whole parking lot now, you can use Wi-Fi. So if you sit in your car, you can bring your phone or you can bring your device and use Wi-Fi for free outside as well as inside. And I think a number of the parts of that are to allow that. So, but Jamie Russell would be the better person to, or as far as the library is concerned, you know, certainly Leslie, you know, would be the best person to address that. So,
So Devin, in your notes, you would have the bullet points that we talked about, right?
I do have some bullet points. So I can send out these notes relatively soon after the meeting. But they're not, I'll be honest, they're not, and you may just want to reword them if that makes sense, to be just more concise and clear for this email. But I can send those out, or if you want to just come up with them now, I can type them out now and then and send a copy of the bullet points worded more appropriately. However you'd like to do it.
What say you people?
What's your pleasure? Was there any point you'd particularly like to have in the upper priority?
Well, so in the minutes, we have our housing concerns. We have our senior center concerns, right? Housing for senior concerns.
Mm-hmm.
What else do we have on there?
So let me just make this bigger. I have it like in a small screen here as I was watching and typing. Okay. So what I have is, yes, the senior center concerns, how much money was being distributed, and exactly where the money guided towards seniors is going to. Let me see. This was the discussion.
And again, you could say you don't think that amount is enough for transportation and nutrition if,
So-
that's the way you felt.
Okay.
One of the questions was, what are we looking for in regard to the vacant schools? When are they going to close? Or when the town is going to make the decision of what those buildings are going to be used for? David Report wanting to know the mayor's vision for seniors in the town of Mansfield and how they're going to be able to afford to stay in town. And also what she would like to see on the Commission of Aging and what the relationship should be. But I don't know if these questions are specific questions that we want to bring to the town. I don't think this is what we would
Right.
want to include in that
Mhm.
email.
We want budget specific information, right?
Right.
Everyone? Not what we're looking for, budget
Are-
specific. or-
Your tonight is addressing the ARPA funds.
The
So you
ARPA.
want things that address the ARPA funds, not so much the mayor, but when will things, why isn't there more money dedicated specifically to senior needs? And is what he said. Correct, Will?
What's that? I'm sorry.
I said, didn't you say something about why isn't, and David too, why aren't more of the funds directed specifically for seniors? Senior
Yeah, I
programming,
mean,
senior
like I
services.
said, out of the 150,000, 92,000 is going to another thing. So when, why did you do that? Why doesn't the senior center get the whole 150,000? That would be my question.
So you're going to be there tonight to ask that question, or are you doing an email?
No, I can't make it tonight.
So an email?
They always seem to do this on purpose, They do it on a night that I can't make it.
Well, it's a public hearing in front of a council meeting, so it's when they meet.
I know.
Okay, so that doesn't address my question. All right, well, okay, so, well, I guess we'll just look at that. Well, we know what we want. Everyone, the first question is why 100 out of the 150,000, 90,000 is.
Is going to that.
Arms to
whatever.
families.
Yeah,
And we also should look at what's going for housing in our email.
well, if you want to ask the question is, I guess one of my questions would be, where is senior housing on Hunting Lodge Road? I have this actually be funded. I mean, I know where affordable housing is. That's Kalinko.
Mhm.
That's part of the Mansfield thing. But where they said affordable housing and senior housing. I don't know. I mean, I've been in this town for a long time. I rode these roads for 30 years. I've never seen senior housing on Hunting Lodge Road.
No, there are a few seniors that do live in Helinco, but
Nothing.
in general, it's more families.
See, that's where, okay, I don't understand what they're trying to say here. Okay, I understand the affordable housing. I understand that 100%.
Right.
But I don't know.
Yeah.
I think my concern or concerns is the percent of this money that is being designated to make real impact for seniors, be it senior housing, the senior center, or whatever, is a very small percentage of that overall budget. And it doesn't reflect about what the needs of the seniors are.
Okay, well, let's just do something. Let's just, everybody just write an email expressing whatever they want to express, and hopefully they can finally see us getting together and, you know, as a unit and doing things rather than just sitting around twiddling our thumbs. Everybody just write an email. We're very, very brief. Just do something. Take one portion of this, write a little bit about it and throw it in, and maybe we can sway some people.
All right, so we can write our emails based on what
Whatever you,
has in.
whatever you feel, whatever you feel, whatever you feel is appropriate, whatever length you want to make it, it doesn't make any difference. It can be one sentence, as long as somebody's name is up there that, you know, that they know, and, or something, and just do something. That's all, just do something.
Is there an area where
You need
you'd
to
like
put
to
your
see?
name and address, by the way, because you have to be a Mansfield resident.
Yes.
Do we put down that we're on the commit from the COA, or what?
So you
You
should put down that you're on there, but you have to say
Absolutely.
you're speaking as a resident,
Right, that's.
unless you guys all did one together till you all agreed on.
Right, COA, but speaking as resident, that's the.
Oh, yes. Let them know where you're from. That's the only way they're gonna get to know us.
And so if we're writing an email, just because I don't feel that personally I'm as informed as you all regarding all of these matters, would you have a suggestion of where you'd like to see those funds allocated instead? Because as of now, I kind of feel like it's just we've raised concern that, you know, there aren't funds directly or directed specifically for seniors. You had the question about Hunting Lodge Road, also the allocation with the farms to families. Is there a specific spot where we'd like to say we would rather the money go here instead, or towards this instead? Like just to have a suggestion of what we're looking for exactly?
I would say the senior center would love to have more funds for transportation, nutrition, and mental health programming. Sarah, would you agree?
Yeah, that's fine. We'll do that. The whole purpose of this is to get these people to know who we are. I mean, if we just, you know, take a stand on one thing and just keep moving on, we got to keep moving.
Right. Yes, I am looking back at what, you know, at some point I was asked to provide some input. The things that I asked for were to increase the hours of our site server to 35 so that she could more appropriately manage the robust nutrition program that we are already doing. We had asked for a vehicle that would be more appropriate for meal delivery. Using the small sedan was really problematic to deliver Meals on Wheels. We had asked for hiring a second part-time driver at 19 hours a week so that we could expand transportation services and prioritize medical rides. We had talked about programming. I had asked for $12,000 to provide one free community meal per month for 2 years, $4,000 to fund some larger scale local trips, $2,400 for enrichment programs. There was a lot of cost that we lost. We provided programming for free for about a year. Our costs were much lower. But whenever we did a performance that was virtual or anything like that, we did not charge for about a year. I know that reimbursement for lost revenue was one of the things, so we had included that. I had talked about a technology tutor, you know, an actual person here for about 10 hours a week. And I had talked about purchasing the online registration system. So those were the things that came through for me. Again, I think I was asked for this about a year ago. So it was a long time ago. For us, it's essential services that always come to the forefront, but also this could be a real opportunity to do some neat things with programming. Up till now, we generally, you know, we generally get about $5,000 a year that is designated for senior programming. So you multiply or
I-
divide that out by about 12 months. That's our program budget.
And that's not adequate, right?
That's what we can't, that's what we don't need to recoup. So everything else we're supposed to charge fees for or do fund development. What I can say is we had been doing fund development pretty successfully, which is why we could do that during COVID. Because that's, that's a revolving account. But we went through a lot of those funds during COVID because because of that. I will also say the challenge with the loss is the way that they do the formula through ARPA is they take a look at the whole town. They don't look at a specific department. And the town has to show overall the loss. So they might have had savings in some area, you know what I mean, or funding in other ways. So they can't really just recoup. We can't recoup, they found out. So that's why that is not part of it. I do want to say my particular budget presentation to the council outside of ARPA is to bring our site service hours up to full time and to increase the amount of money that they give us annually toward that revolving account. So we can offer some more free or reduced programming at the center, which, is essential. So that's in my regular budget. I'm not sure when the town manager presents his budget, he presents based on, he takes what you recommend, then he takes all of them together and presents it. But I did put those in as service improvements for our department in our regular budget, because I really feel, as Sarah presented, that that's not an ARPA 2 years funding type of thing. That's an ongoing issue that we have here. So that's why I presented that in the regular budget. So that's not part of ARPA funding because of that.
But that also means it might not happen. Last year it was in the budget and it did not get approved. So we're sort of in this limbo, kind of trying to wait and see.
Right. What I would say to that is that would be testimony at the regular budget hearing.
Right.
So, because I don't want them to take that ARPA money and use it that way, because that means in 2 years,
You're gonna be without.
that's gone.
It's gone.
That's something that we need over here. We needed before, and we'll still need, regardless of what happens after ARPA funding is there.
And what other positions is this department asking for to be added in the new budget year? What additional positions? I know the youth services social worker, a second youth services social worker.
And that was the human service advisory pushed for that. Yes. So that's in there. I mean, I'm not sure if it'll come out in the final budget, but that's in there.
Was that it, or were there others? Is there additional? parts?
The hours for the site server position are in that as well. So that would be considered moving someone from part-time to full-time.
So the driver hours you put into the ARPA funding?
Yes.
So would that be a limited to 2 year?
What I've said about that and the per diem hours for nutrition is that 2 years would give us an opportunity to evaluate whether or not that was so. And that's kind of, I think, a wise decision to, give us that period of time to see what happens with WRTD, what happens, with the uses of our transportation, what happens to any public transportation that develops, if the state program improves, which the state program for people who are on assistance is lousy. I mean, people have had so many problems with that not being consistent. So, but if that does improve, I'm hoping that we'll really be able to show, this is an essential service though. So after those 2 years, like a lot of grants, they'll say this is a valuable service and we need to keep it. So, but that's.
Folks, excuse me, I gotta click off. I have a homemaker coming shortly, so I'm gonna have to leave, okay?
Mary.
All right, thank you. See you next time.
Yep, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I do have to sign off as well shortly here. I just wanted to double check in order to send an email, is it just to because I clicked on the news thing on the town website, is it just to the town clerk at mansfield.gov? Is that
Yes.
where? Okay.
Yep.
One's taking, that one should be- Yeah.
Yes, the town clerk for a town meeting, yes.
Okay. Then I will do that.
Okay, there's one other item of business that particularly Sylvie is interested in. Do you want to meet virtually or personally or hybrid for the next meeting?
Case
Well, I
in
think-
point, my computer doesn't always like virtual meetings.
Sylvie says, case in point, her computer doesn't always like virtual meetings.
I think hybrid, because that way people who, I mean, we can go to the senior center now unmasked or whatever. So hybrid affords everyone the ability to be there. So if you can't be there virtually, you'd be there in person, vice versa. So, and we've done it hybrid before. Our last meeting was hybrid, I believe, at the senior center. So I think hybrid, just to give everyone a chance to be there.
Best of both worlds.
Works for us.
Okay,
Good.
hearing hybrid.
You'll get to see our new wall and our new van.
Oh, that's
There
right.
you go.
We can arrange a tour for anybody who's interested.
Absolutely.
I noticed the new van right away when I was driving.
It's
I was like,
spiffy,
"Oh,
isn't it?
yeah, it's spiffy.
So I
So,
haven't
and
heard any,
yeah, I think you're going to notice a much improved ride.
that's the question I had. You had all these features that are great. But the last ride I had in it, it was like riding in a
The old,
or something.
It's better.
It's
Much
much better,
smoother,
yeah.
much smoother, much quieter.
The advantage, that's the advantage of when you order versus you get it out of a grant and they give you what they give you. So we were able to actually order this vehicle. And Dave, our driver, participated in it, all of the senior center staff, myself, John Carrington from Public Works, all participated in it. And we were able to get the features, including, like I said, the Hepa filter and the sound, because that's what always bothers me, the sound on the van, especially when the lift rattles. So
Banging.
I need to sign off. I will get these meeting minutes out to you all as soon as I can this afternoon. And then hopefully that'll help with writing emails as well.
you just have to adjourn, John.
yeah, John, are we about finished?
John, you got to adjourn.
Okay, so Dave and Martina are gonna get a letter out to the mayor. Hopefully for April or May.
Okay.
And I think I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I second. Oh, Laura, yeah. Okay.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
Okay, David, I'll get in touch
Carries.
with you somehow.
Thank you.
Thanks for your support, everybody.
You.
Talk to you soon.
No, bye-bye.
Bye.
Or
Thanks for your use of your phone.